Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto died? Tsunade went back in time to save him. Part 6, the last part. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Naruto woke up to a nice sight. Shion and Hinata were both curled up to him. Both girls wore grins on their sleeping faces. Since he was on extended leave for rehabilitation, the girls, no woman in his life, had decided to make a man and husband out of him. He was happy, but tired. Last night Hinata and Shion showed him what pleasure could be garnered from girls who looked like twins, but as if one was a photo negative of the other. Shion was blonde, while Hinata had dark blue hair. Both were proportioned almost identically. The night before that, it was Ishiko and Anko. Now that was a night to remember, since Anko acted like she was a seductress, but came to find out she was actually a virgin till that night. With Ishiko leading, and Anko following, they had enjoyed making love for hours. Tsunade had been angry at the first night with Ishiko, Haku, and Hinata, but had capitulated after hearing about them merging with their future souls. She had offered to have Sasuke neutered, and made a personal eunuch to Naruto, but he was happy to have his friend back that wasn't evil yet. He also knew that after the mission to Tea Country had prompted Ishiko to begin the process of seducing Naruto, it worked better than she had thought. His birthday, the surgery, and then the mission had left Naruto to only train, and Sasuke to recuperate. The time with Isaribi had been interesting, since she had Tsunade, and Ishiko finished the process of her becoming the Kaime, which allowed her to transform between her human form and a woman-fish form. It was a beautiful sight in most everyone's opinion. With the completion of the process, her skin had turned back to a normal human, but when she wanted to she could transform, and her skin would change into light green iridescent scales. The only thing that disturbed Naruto was that her teeth would change from normal flat human teeth to shark-like teeth. He made a joke of no blowjobs while transformed, to which she agreed. The most unusual night was with Koyuki, since she was physically older, but he surprised her in being able to satisfy the daimyo, an actress. Naruto was now secretly married to numerous women, and they had agreed to share him. They also agreed to work to make the whole group stronger to protect their husband, and each other. Naruto had begun sage training only insofar as being able to steady himself, and not move. He also worked with Hiashi, Tsunade, and Shizune on advanced techniques that required chakra only without a natural affinity. Naruto had also advised the Hokage that Sasuke would be making a run for Orochimaru soon. Naruto noticed that a girl with dark brown hair and a single bun on the top of her head, and wearing a light red sundress was following him, and Ishiko. The girl hid behind a pole, but then jumped when she heard Naruto speak from her right. Reminds me of Hinata-chan a while ago. How about you, Ishiko-chan? Naruto said into the younger blonde girl's ear. Ishiko put her hand on her chin, and appeared to be thinking, but then said in a sarcastic voice, "You've got fangirls now, Naruto-kun. Should we keep her or throw her back, and wait for her to grow a little?" The girl blushed slightly, and stood at attention. She blushed even harder when Naruto appeared to begin to inspect the girl. She swallowed hard when he moved his gaze across her whole body. The girl began to feel warm, and began to sweat. She closed her eyes hoping he would be done soon. After a minute she opened her eyes, and jumped at seeing crystal blue eyes that appeared to be smiling at her. She nearly fainted when he said, "I think she can hang around for now. If she likes me then that is fine, since I don't have a stick up my ass like Sasuke-chan. So do you want to be my friend, and if so what is your name?" The girl looked down, and hesitantly replied, "My name is Midori, Naruto-kun. I watched you in the exams." She trailed off, and began to chew on her fingernail. Naruto used his index finger to lift her chin, and thus her eyes back to his, and said, "I'm happy to meet you Midori. Now you can come along, and keep Ishiko-chan company, while I meet with my team." The girl nodded and smiled widely, and quickly fell in behind Naruto and Ishiko. Ishiko giggled while Naruto chuckled lightly. He then thought, I wonder if she would make a good wife when she grows a little older. Ishiko's eyes opened wide, and she thought, we shall see, Naruto-kun, but for now you have enough wives to keep you busy. She looked over, and saw Naruto nod his agreement, and he then flashed her a cheesy grin. She blushed at this. He then smiled at Midori, and waved her up between the two. Midori quickly complied, and kept looking back and forth between the two blondes. The trio entered the hospital, and Ishiko and Midori sat outside of Sasuke's recovery room, while Naruto entered. He smiled slightly at the sight of Sakura peeling, and cutting up an apple for Sasuke, who appeared to be moping, yet again. "Hey Sakura-chan, Sasuke," he said, and it caused both to jump. Sasuke glared at Naruto, while Sakura replied, "Naruto, you shouldn't just barge into someone's room." Naruto sighed internally, but said, "I came to see how Sasuke is progressing." Sasuke activates his Sharingan, and exclaimed, "Fight me." Naruto shook his head, and replied, "No, first you're not fully recovered, and second, I don't think a spar is what you had in mind." Sasuke, angered at Naruto's refusal, swung his arm wide, and slapped Sakura's arm, thus breaking the plate, and spilling the cut apples on the floor next to the girl. He then exclaimed angrily, "You wanted to fight me to prove that you're my equal, so now prove it." Sakura became teary-eyed and said pleadingly, "Sasuke-kun, please don't." Sasuke's glare caused the girl to shrink, and he said, "Shut up, Sakura. You wouldn't understand." Naruto looked down and said in her defense, "Yeah, she wouldn't. She's had a rather sheltered life. Always had someone to rely on, like you did before Itachi killed them, right?" Sakura gasped, while Sasuke closed the distance between himself and Naruto. Sasuke grabbed Naruto's collar and attempted to lift him up, but Naruto had attached himself to the floor. "Fight me, damn it. You owe me," Sasuke exclaimed. Naruto sighed and then slapped Sasuke's hand away from his collar. Sasuke then stalked to the door, slamming it open, and then stalked towards the stairs. Naruto exited the room and gave Yoshiko a sorrowful look and said, "Guess this is something we can't change. Come along and protect Sakura and Midori, please." Yoshiko nodded, while the three girls followed Naruto and Sasuke up the stairs to the roof. On the roof, Sasuke smirked and glared at Naruto a few meters away. The area was full of hanging sheets on clotheslines, along with a couple of water tanks off to the side, and a green chain link fence surrounded the edges of the roof, so no one would accidentally fall off. Naruto sighed and then pointed to his headband. "If we're going to do this, then put on your headband. It is a symbol that we are shinobi of the leaf and consider the other an equal. It will also make it more of a spar than a death match that you seem to want." Sasuke's eyes went wide, but then he ground his teeth together in aggravation. Naruto then continued, "Go ahead, I can wait." Sasuke smiled and replied, "I don't need to. You won't even scratch me." Naruto put his hand on his hip and explained, while waving the other in explanation, "Look, Ba-chan is going to get mad at the damage that we're about to do up here, and if we can say it is a spar, then we will get off light. Also, you don't know my real capabilities." Sasuke charged, while it appeared to Sakura and Midori that he was moving extremely quickly. Both Naruto and Yoshiko thought he was rather slow. Naruto blocked his punch and the follow-up kick. Sasuke then went for a quick kick to the jaw, but found Naruto's face not there, and then Naruto disappeared the next instant. Sasuke activates his Sharingan and looks around. He finally found Naruto hiding behind a sheet that was hung on a clothesline. "You can't hide from me," he exclaimed. Naruto then said, as Sasuke approached, "Do you remember the lesson from Rock Lee?" Sasuke looked confused, but then saw Naruto's fist connect with his chin, but couldn't bring his arm up to block it in time. Sakura saw this and wore a worried look. Sasuke was still going up when he recovered. He then performed several hand seals and exclaimed, "Fire style. Flamethrower." Naruto bit his thumb and did a few hand seals and exclaimed, "Summoning, water wall." A puff of smoke appeared in front of Naruto and a wall of water angled up and diverted the flame away from the roof. Yoshiko had just finished some hand seals, and a wall of water had appeared in front of the three girls, but it was clear, so they could watch through it. Sakura looked at the daughter of the Hokage and got stars in her eyes. Midori waited with bated breath to see Naruto again. She then got excited when she saw him and a small orange toad. Look, there he is," she exclaimed excitedly and pointed at Naruto. Sakura's eyes followed to where the girl pointed, but then rolled her eyes when she found out that the girl was pointing at Naruto. She looked around and saw Sasuke still falling from some unknown height, but also saw electricity forming in the boy's left hand. He had created a Chidori when he finished the fire jutsu. They watched Naruto do some hand seals, and he then spit out a large water drop at Sasuke. Yoshiko said quietly, "Water bullet, interesting choice. I figured he would have used a Rasengan." "Oh, I'm wrong, he did create a Rasengan." Both of the other girls watched as Sasuke was hit by a glancing blow of the water bullet, but it barely altered his trajectory and didn't disperse the Chidori. They watched Naruto yell something, but couldn't hear it through the water wall protecting them. Sakura clawed at the water in a vain attempt to get through to stop the boys fighting, but couldn't seem to make headway. Naruto continued to hold the Rasengan in his right hand, but waited for Sasuke to land. Sasuke charged, but Naruto waited a second before he also charged. Sakura screamed, "No." Yoshiko said, "Calm down. Your sensei will stop it." As if by magic, Kakashi appeared where the boys were going to meet, and the boys were now headed towards the pair of water towers on the roof. Naruto controlled his crash into the tank, and whistled when he saw the circular caving in of the tank. Sasuke looked at the damage, and only saw a small hole leaking only a small stream of water out of the tank Naruto had hit, but he struggled, and finally pulled his arm from the tank his left arm was impaled in. There was a satisfying gush of water, and a hole the size of his fist pouring out water. Kakashi looked around, and saw Toad along with three girls in the doorway. He sighed heavily, and looked at Sasuke, who just smirked and jumped off of the roof. "I'll take care of Sasuke, while you handle Naruto. You know the Rasengan is dangerous to be teaching him at such a young age," Kakashi said over his shoulder. Naruto approached the girls while Jiraiya answered Kakashi. "I would say the same thing about the Chidori, but also it appears that Naruto was using the Rasengan defensively, since he also used Gamakichi, and your other student appeared to have been using a fire. This wasn't a spar for one of them, and I have an idea who it is. They're like you, and Orochimaru." "Well, I have a student to discipline," Kakashi explained, but then said to Sakura, "Everything will be alright, and back to the way it was soon." Really, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked in a pleading tone as they disappeared. Naruto grabbed Yoshiko and Midori by the hands and headed down the stairs. He explained over his shoulder to Sakura, I don't know why or how, but he and I are going to settle this one way or another, so keep out of it, Sakura. Sakura looked like she had been hit and could only just stand there in awe at what Naruto had said. Naruto had finally gotten down to the base floor and turned to Midori. She looked up at him with stars in her eyes. He sighed and then said, Midori-chan, can you go to the Hokage and tell her that the Red Bull is in motion? She looked at him in confusion, but then nodded emphatically and replied, yes, Naruto-kun. She then quickly ran off in the direction of the Hokage's tower. He then called out and said, you can come out of Irosenin. Jiraiya sighed and then said, I wish my lovely student and son would stop calling me that, especially after the week you've had. Naruto looked at Yoshiko, who nodded, and he just sighed heavily. Look, Dad, Sasuke is going to leave tonight. The fight showed him that I have caught up to him, and that I'm making the progress he has made look like he's just standing still. His ego can't handle it, and thus begins his slide into darkness. It doesn't help having your pedophile teammate talking in his mind. Jiraiya nodded and replied, you may be right there, but how do we save him, and is it even possible? Naruto shrugged and said, I have a plan, but we need duct tape, some ninja wire, and a barrel of sake. Yoshiko grinned, but looked at her husband, and giggled. Jiraiya shrugged, and then nodded. Itachi left Kisame, and entered her house. He didn't come out till morning, while Kisame had taken off for the night to do something else. When Kisame arrived the next morning he could almost see a smile on the Uchiha's face, but he just chalked it up to the light. The pair left the house, and headed to their destination unknown. The woman in a robe looked out the window with a smile, and a longing look on her face, as the pair left. An ambu stood over the unconscious Haruno Sakura, who lay on a stone bench. She was set there by none other than Uchiha Sasuke, just before he left the village. This is Bear. Haruno tried to persuade him, but failed. She even proposed to leave the village with him. What do you want to do, over? The man asked, while holding 2 fingers on his left ear. He then nodded, and said, Roger, we will take her to your office. His partner picked the girl up, and then both disappeared. Sakura woke up in a chair, and found that she felt very weak. She began to look around the room, and found many scowling faces. Sasuke-kun has left, she exclaimed. Her eyes then fell upon Naruto, and she pleaded, only you can save him now. You need to save him. Naruto looked at Sakura, and then said, in another time, and if things were different, I would have pledged a lifetime promise to do it for you, but I'll go after him, but only on the orders of the Hokage. Right, Ba-chan? Tsunade sighed, and then said, Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, Haku, Yoshiko, Hinata, Niji, Yakumo, and Naruto, I task you with the capture of Uchiha Sasuke. Shikamaru is in charge, and I would ask Naruto for information on your target. Dismiss. The assembled shinobi left the room already, and decked out for combat. Sakura worriedly asked, how were they ready so quickly? How long was I out? Tsunade looked at the girl in front of her, and said in an annoyed tone, I was told that you could have surpassed me in skill. Sakura's eyes went wide, and she asked, who told you that? Naruto, Tsunade answered succinctly. Sakura looked down in shame at having been given such a compliment from Naruto, but always looked him over. Now he was close to the Hokage and her daughter. She still longed for Sasuke, but wondered why so many people were gravitating towards him instead of Sasuke. I heard that you said you would betray the village for Sasuke, Tsunade asked, and a chill ran down Sakura's spine. Tsunade folded her hands in front of herself, and asked, would you like to talk about it? We have all morning. The grin on Tsunade's face made her begin to fear for herself even more. Shikamaru sighed, as they got to the gates. Okay, what intel do you have, Naruto? Naruto grabbed a couple bags of chips out of his pack, and tossed them to Choji. First, we are not only dealing with just Sasuke, but also a group known as the Sound Four. Each calls themselves the guardian of a gate, whether it be north, south, east or west. There is also a 5th, but if we complete this quickly we can avoid him. Now, Choji didn't take this the wrong way, Naruto explained, but also looked worriedly at Choji, who nodded. Naruto continued, one is a fat ass, and likes to suck chakra from his opponents. He uses an earth dome to do this. The next is a guy with 6 arms, he can produce webs, and can harden the webs to use as weapons. The substance he uses for the weapons is also secreted by his pores, and is very hard. Next we have a woman who uses a flute, and ogre summons. Lastly we have a pair of twins who can enter a body, and then attack you from inside out. You will only see one at a time, most of the time. It is a trick they use to try to trap their opponents. From what I hear they bond with the opponent on a cellular level, whatever that is. If we encounter them without Sasuke then he will be sealed in a barrel. Shikamaru looked at Naruto in surprise, and asked, how did you come by that much, and that specific information about those who we are up against? Ba-chan told me not to tell, Naruto replied happily. Naruto then appeared to remember something, and then said, also they have boosters, they can use a curse seal, but unlike Sasuke, they can use it to a 2nd level. It is one hell of a power boost. Given this information Shikamaru had Kiba lead with Ishiko, and himself right behind him. Naruto would be in the middle with Ikumo. Choji would be right behind them, and finally followed by Hinata and Niji. They quickly found the Sound 4, but put off hitting them till morning. The Sound 4 woke up a little earlier than the Konoha team, and set out. Only about 10 minutes behind the Konoha team came upon the Sound 4 fighting against a team of Jounin led by Shizune. The group looked at Shikamaru, and waited for his decision. He sighed, and then said, pick a target, and join in. They need help. Yoshiko, you're on medical detail with Yakumo guarding her. Naruto, you're on mass spam. Hinata, Niji, you two hit targets of opportunity. You and Kiba back up the. Now go. Naruto created 100 clones, and had them blanket the area. He then snuck up behind the red-headed girl, and struck her on the neck, thus knocking her out. Genma was currently going toe-to-toe with Jirobo, when a huge fist slammed into the large man with curse marks all over his face. The man was slammed into a tree, and was actually embedded into said tree. Radio was fighting a losing battle with Seiken, Yukin, and Kitamaru. Kitamaru's eyes rolled into the back of his head that left Hinata standing in his wake. Yukin had quickly left his brother to avoid a strike to the back of the head by Niji. He then had to jump to avoid being hit by Kiba and Akamaru using their fang over fang technique. Seiken fell quickly to the combined efforts of Niji and Radio. Gemma had slapped a chakra suppression seal on Jirobo, just as he had extracted himself from the tree. The large man fell over unconscious. Yukin was having problems trying to join with Naruto, since the area was filled with his clones, and none had actual cell structure that he could merge with. The man finally succumbed to kunai to the skull from Raito. Naruto then began to administer first aid to the injured, along with Shizune and Yoshiko, while Yakumo stood protectively over the trio, ready to cast it to protect the group. Naruto smiled widely, and said, mission accomplished. He then slapped the tub with Sasuke sleeping in it. The two teams headed back to Konoha with their prisoners, Sasuke, and the bodies of the 3 dead Sound Shinobi. Naruto had also gagged Taiya to keep her colorful language from bothering the others. The two teams had dropped off their prisoners to the torture and interrogation unit. They left the tub with Sasuke in it at Anbu headquarters, and the bodies were put in the morgue for later examination. Sasuke woke from his forced slumber, and felt someone quickly put what felt like a piece of paper on his forehead. He again lost consciousness. That should hold him until Hokage-sama has a chance to take a look at him, one of the Anbu said. A couple of the Anbu then pulled the unconscious boy into a cell, and then locked his hands behind him to await the Hokage. Ishiko, Naruto, Haku, Gaara all sat waiting for Kamimura to show up. The man from the Kagaya clan was breathing hard, but had spent all day looking for the other members of the Sound Guard. He then felt a prick on his neck. He reached up, and pulled it from his neck. His vision blurred slightly, but he paid it no mind. Suddenly a blonde young boy came running up to him with a smile on his face. Naruto got to within 3 meters, and then asked, are you looking for a group of nitwits? Naruto then looked up, and looked like he was counting on his fingers, as he said, let's see, one with 6 arms, a psycho foul-mouthed girl, a guy with 2 heads, and a fat guy with more manners than the whole lot of them combined. Kamimura glared at the boy, and asked, where are they? Naruto replied, well the girl, 6 arms, and Fatso are all guests of Konoha, but the guy with 2 heads seemed to contract something that he just couldn't get over. Kamimura raised an eyebrow, and asked, what was that? Naruto turned really chipper, and replied, death. They seemed to not want to give up, and they caught a couple kunai the wrong way, and you know. Kamimura raised his right arm, and formed a spike in the palm of his hand, but only realized too late that he was off balance. He fell backwards on his ass. His vision began to swim, and he started to lose track of the blonde boy. What did you do to me? He asked angrily. Oh, we drugged you, and we are going to capture you, since Orochimaru considers you expendable, and because you're sick. We plan on healing you, and getting rid of that curse seal. Once that is done, I'm not sure, but Ba-chan will let you know what is going to happen when she gets a chance. Just let me die. I have failed you, Orochimaru-sama, Kamimura said quietly just before he succumbed to unconsciousness. Naruto slapped a seal on the man, and the group hauled the captive off to Konoha. Sakura was scared, she was now only in panties, and was tied to a chair. She didn't know what was going on, but wanted to go home. The door opened, and she felt a cold chill go down her spine. The woman from the exams walked in, and had a smile on her face. Denko walked up to the girl in the chair, and she knew what was going on. She had read the written report, and wanted a crack at this interrogation. The girl, Sakura, was a teammate to her now husband, and she wanted to figure out what he had seen in her before the exams, and why the girl was so stupid to reject him. She smirked at the young girl's figure, and moved closer to her. She then smiled warmly in the girl's face. I don't know why I'm here, but I didn't do anything, Sakura exclaimed. She then looked down, as Anko pulled the seam of her panties out. She then exclaimed, hey, what are you doing? Denko smirked to the side of a nearly bare mons pubis, with only a few pink hairs there. She then released the waistband with a snap, and said, you're still just a girl, not a woman. I hear that you promised things to the Uchiha boy. Is that correct? Sakura nodded, and replied, yes, I would do anything for him. Enko's smile turned to a frown, and then asked, even carry his child, even if it meant you would die. Sakura swallowed hard, and asked tentatively, what do you mean? Enko again pulled Sakura's waistband, and pointed to the girl's pubic hairs or lack thereof. She then replied, you've just entered puberty, girl. You're 12, and so is he. You need to grow a little bit both physically and emotionally before you could have a child. I'm sure that you could carry the baby to term, but you would be hard-pressed to have a vaginal birth, and a cesarean could kill you from the possible complications. Even if you had a vaginal birth, you more than likely would die from complications. So tell me, did you want to be a mother or just a birthing tube for the Uchiha boy? Tears started to fall off of Sakura's face. Enko sighed, but smiled internally. Look, you think that you're in love, right? She asked, and the girl nodded. She then continued, so you professed your love to him, and told him that you would abandon the village to make him happy, right? Sakura nodded, and Enko thought, too easy. I love Sasuke-kun, and he will love me, Sakura exclaimed. Enko put her foot between Sakura's legs on the seat of the chair, and smirked as she saw the girl's eyes go wide at looking up her skirt. She then said, not likely. He's going to think that you turned him in because we caught him so quickly. Enko smirked at this point, since she was wearing the smallest panties she could, and it showed off both her camel toe, and her large triangular tuft of purple hair in her crotch. See, you've got a long way to go to become a woman, little girl, she thought to herself, but then remembered her interrogation, and it was almost over. So you admit to agreeing to abandon the village, and attempting to leave with the traitor. Sakura pulled her eyes from Enko's crotch, and shook her head. No, I would never abandon the village, she exclaimed. Enko then leaned in, and was nearly touching the girl's nose with her own. That friend of yours, Ino, says she loves the Uchiha boy, but wouldn't leave the village to be with him, so what's your excuse? She asked angrily. Sakura replied, I would do it for love. She then let her head sag, only for her head to bounce off of Enko's knee. She now had a sore head, and was cold, because of the lack of clothing. Enko grabbed the girl's chin, and pulled the dazed girl's eyes to her own. You know you screwed up more ways than I can count. You let a good kid like that Naruto boy go, and you go after the bad boy who turns out to be a real bad boy. You got the daughter of the current Hokage angry at you, and finally you committed treason. I would find someone's cock to suck on, and learn to like it if I were you, because if you're not put to death, you're going to be in prison for a long time. You might even get your wish, and get to be a love buddy for the Uchiha boy, but don't count on it. Think about it, I'll be back soon to check up on you, and see what you want to do about what you've done. Enko then left the room for the girl to contemplate her future. Orochimaru was sitting in his chair, having just taken a new body, and was wrapped from head to toe in bandages. He asked in an almost seductive voice, has there been any word about Sasuke-kun? Kabuto shook his head, and replied, no, Orochimaru-sama. Even though they are strong, they might have failed, and that wouldn't be good. Orochimaru chuckled, and said, have faith in Sasuke-kun. He will do everything in his power to come to me. Sasuke slowly opened his eyes to see several people in the room sitting on chairs looking at him. He could feel that he was tied up, and he felt very weak. He recognized Naruto, Yoshiko, Hinata, the Hokage, the crazy proctor, and Ibiki, the other proctor from the exams. There was another man there with white hair, and a headband with the kanji for oil on it. Tsunade leaned forward, and asked, so Jiraiya, how do you want to proceed? Jiraiya smirked, and then replied, well, he seemed to know instinctively where he could go to meet up with Orochimaru. I say we tag him, erase his memory, and then let him go to Orochimaru. We could also put a memory seal on him to make him a sleeper agent for us. Naruto cleared his throat, and then waited for Tsunade to nod. I have a question. What do you know about Uchiha Madara? He asked pointedly. Sasuke looked at him in confusion. Who are you talking about? I've never heard of him, he replied angrily. Naruto waved his index finger back and forth. Tut tut, someone didn't pay attention in history class, did they? Given the name he is or was part of your clan, so you should at least have some information on him. Also tell us about the information written in the Uchiha Shrine, he asked authoritatively. Sasuke lurched forward, and strained against his bindings, to no avail. He growled, and replied, I have no idea what you're talking about. Naruto smiled, and then said, under the 7th tatami mat on the right is a secret entrance leading to what appears to be a shrine. I'm sure that we could get Kakashi-sensei to read it, but you would have to try to unlock the next stage of the Sharingan, to be able to read more than you can. Sasuke growled angrily, but Naruto continued, let me guess you have to feel the loss of your best friend to unlock the next stage. I think it is the tragedy of loss that can actually cause the unlocking process. Did you know that Itachi is going blind, and is being eaten by a disease? Most of the group looked at Naruto in awe, but also saw the surprise on Sasuke's face, when Naruto brought up his brother's condition. Naruto sighed, and then said, you, by being caught, have lost your goal in life. I believe that reviving your clan was something that you never really knew how to fulfill. You say that you want a strong woman, but you had one right next to you that wanted to do anything for you. All you had to do was help her get stronger, and she would have done it for you. You could have postponed your revenge until you got strong, and had a family. Then you could have taken out your brother, and if you died your family would have continued, but sadly you chose to go before you were ready. Look what happened when Iro Senin and I went to get Bachan. You thought you were strong, but look at this way. You and I lacked patience, but I wanted acknowledgement, and you wanted revenge. Look where that led you. You could have had most all you could have wanted, but no, you had to find an enemy around every corner, and not ask for help. You were all alone, by choice. Naruto waited for a couple minutes, while Sasuke seemed to calm down. He then continued while looking up and away. I've been alone all my life, you at least had a family for most of your life. Mine was taken from me by one of your clan, Uchiha Madara. Almost everyone in the room gasped, but Sasuke was dumbstruck. Naruto then went on, and asked, you know that most of my problems early on were from your family. So your messed up family killed mine. You want to kill me to gain power to help end your family. Well, I don't want to participate in your fratricide. Naruto then chuckled and said, you know, for the longest time I was jealous of you having so many girls chasing you, but I know now that you were an idiot. You had Sakura, who by the way could have been the best medic since Bachan, but thanks to you, she's going to prison for a long time. Then there's Yamanaka Ino. You broke her heart, since she loved you dearly. I'd hate to be in your shoes when Inoichi finds out you broke his little princess's heart. Naruto sighed, while Sasuke swallowed hard. Naruto looked directly at Sasuke, and said, you could have had most of it, even with your family planning a coup. Sasuke shot forward only to be caught by his restraints, and yelled, that isn't true. Then why did the elders plan with Itachi and Madara to eliminate this possible threat to Konoha? I bet Madara just wanted to get even with how your clan forced him out after he fought with the first, and lost. You know he used the Kyuubi that time. So since Kyuubi was summoned again the day I was born, he wanted to destroy Konoha, but failed that time, and health ruined my life by having the fourth sealed in me, so you see someone in your family causing me pain. Now I don't want revenge, but you must understand that your family, even if it is a distant relation, caused me to grow up alone. I tried on too many occasions to try to befriend you, but you had to brood, thinking that you lost more than I did. Well, let me tell you something, team. I lost everything, and then some. Well, you were accepted, I was shunned, and not given the time of day if I was lucky. You were given sympathy, I would have loved to have gotten some of that, but no. You thought the world revolved around you, and only your suffering. You wanted to kill me for power that would just add to my suffering. You've suffered for what? 4 or so years. Well, call me when you've suffered for 13 years or more. Sasuke looked down, but still grimaced. He said through his clenched teeth, I didn't know. Naruto nodded, and then said, I know, but if you had taken the time to try to be my friend, a real friend, you would have known. We could have had so much. Naruto then looked up, and continued, do you know who Senju Mido was? He looked down to see Tsunade look surprised, and Sasuke to shake his head. Naruto then tapped his chin, and said, guess not, I'm going to have to talk to Iruka-sensei, and ask him how you became Rookie of the Year, since you can't even recognize one of the founders of Konoha, and a clan member of yours, along with the wife of the first Hokage, and grandmother to the 5th Hokage. Her maiden name was Uzumaki Mido of the Heideneti village. This turned heads, and even Sasuke was looking at Naruto. Naruto turned his shoulder, and showed the patch on his left shoulder. He pointed to the patch, and said, this is the clan seal of the Uzumaki. Yes, I said clan. I'm not some nameless orphan like you thought. I'm from a respected clan that was an ally of Konoha. For all we know, I'm the last Uzumaki, and have been since before you were the second to last Uchiha. Yes, I'm pointing out that your brother is still alive, and could still have a family. If he did, what would happen if you got your revenge? Would his children then be allowed to take revenge on you for killing their father, or would you slaughter them for being his children? I would not let them into the clan, and if I could I would kill them for being the spawn of his. Sasuke replied with so much venom that it even shocked the older members that stood there. So you would kill an innocent child for who his father was? Naruto asked. Yes, Sasuke replied, and glared at Naruto. Naruto chuckled, and then said, I think that Itachi wants you to kill him to help absolve him of his guilt, the guilt that he feels from having to keep the peace by killing his own family to protect the village that he loved. You see, your brother grew up in the midst of a war, and saw the carnage that was involved in war, and didn't want it visited upon the village. How would it be any different than him slaughtering those of my clan? Sasuke asked, nearly in tears. Do you understand what civil war does? It pits brother against brother, friend against friend, and no one really wins in the end. After the dust settles, then the other enemies see your weakness, and pounce, causing more bloodshed. I don't agree with what your brother did, and would have tried to work it out, but it happened, and the Uchiha are nearly gone. Thanks to you, they may pass on into history, as a footnote. Your family wasn't happy, but also know that they might have tried to stage a coup, and if they did, they wouldn't have won. There were just too few, and even if they won the civil war, they would not have had the support of the people, and would have to rule the village with an iron fist. That is if the daimyo didn't interfere, and help put down the Uchiha rebellion, Naruto explained. Sasuke's eyes went wide at the idea that the daimyo might get involved. He was hard-pressed to counter anything that Naruto had said, but finally figured out a way to even the playing field. So you're a monster, and that is where your power comes from. Naruto growled, but then sighed, and replied, I'm defined as the power of human sacrifice. The fourth gave his life to seal the Kyuubi inside of me, and made my life hell in the process. You see, he wanted me to be seen as a hero, but the people just thought of me as a monster, and did their best to make life miserable. You see, when Madara first summoned the Kyuubi for his battle with Senju Hashirama, Uzumaki Mido was there. She became the first of the Kyuubi. Tsunade gasped at this, but Sasuke just smirked. Naruto ignored him, and continued, you see, the Uzumaki were feared for their seals, and the village was destroyed for that. Now when her life was coming to an end, my mother Kushina came to Konoha to become the next of the Kyuubi. While Naruto had explained this, he had gotten up, and walked around behind Sasuke. So your mother was a whore, and a monster just like you, Sasuke said with satisfaction. He suddenly saw stars, and he felt pain radiate from his jaw. Naruto shook his head, and pulled his arm back from where Sasuke's jaw used to be. Naruto then said angrily, you shouldn't insult another man's mother when you're tied up. Would you like for me to refer to your mother as something she wasn't? No, I'm sure you wouldn't. Now let me continue with my story. Now female Jinchuriki has a longer pregnancy than normal, about 10 months or so. The reason for that is because of the strain on the body will also weaken the seal on that person, so care must be taken. You see, the day I was born Madara extracted the Kyuubi, and thus sentenced my mother to death. The fourth, who was there to monitor the seal, was able to save me from Madara, and then seal the Kyuubi into me. The Uzumaki have a chakra that works well to keep the Kyuubi sealed within them. So you see, I'm not a monster, just a victim of your family's quests for revenge that always seem to get others involved and killed. Your family was starting the cycle of hate and revenge, and I want to end it. I thought you were strong, but since you can't fight that little heki you got, I guess that you're weak. Sasuke began to fume, and yelled, I am strong, and I will kill you. Just let me go, and I'll show you. Naruto turned, and his eyes were blood red with slits. The killing intent washed over the room, and Sasuke relieved himself. Just like your family did to my mother, and caused my father to sacrifice himself to save the village. He asked angrily. Naruto turned, and left the room, followed by the others. Sasuke looked on, and saw Yoshiko linger, and said, I hope you learn, and enjoy your prison stay. I will try to help you remember, asshole. Her eyes then became like Naruto's, and another wave of killing intent washed over the boy. She smiled, and left the room. Sasuke sagged in relief. He then began to go over the information that had been given him. At the main Konoha gates, there was a parade of visitors keeping the pair of Chunin busy trying to figure out why so many people wanted to come to Konoha today. Among them were shinobi from Kiri, Taki, Tsuki, and Hashi villages. There were also 2 girls, one brunette, and the other a redhead with red eyes. Included in this group was a couple of daimyos, or their daughters to be more precise. Kitetsu and Izuma were overwhelmed. Isuribi had just returned from a mission, and met Naruto at the tower. She walked home with him. She knew something was bothering him, so took his hand. Naruto smiled at the girl who wore an open-back one-piece swimming suit and cargo pants. He had to admit she was sexy, and the suit revealed every inch of her developing chest. Isuribi raised an eyebrow when she felt his gaze lingered a bit too long on her breasts. She smiled, and winked at her husband. She leaned in, and whispered, want to see me under the clothes? Naruto's eyes went wide, and a look of confusion appeared on his face. He then asked quietly, are you sure? Isuribi continued to rub his chest, but then asked, what's got you so troubled? Naruto sighed, and ran his hand through her hair. He then replied, Sasuke and Sakura wanted to go with him. Isuribi sighed constantly, and said, we knew he would, but there's more. I know, because this fight has brought me closer to you. Naruto nodded, and said, Yoshiko called it a mating mark. I'm yours, and you're mine is the simple answer, but also you are part of my family. First there was Yoshiko, then Hinata, Kyuubi. Isuribi pushed up onto her elbows, and asked, Kyuubi? Naruto nodded, and replied, yeah, it was a way that Yoshiko, Hinata, and I got more control of her. It's different from last time when I forced my will upon her. This time she tried to take the dominant position in the relationship of host and beast. She lost, and is subservient to Yoshiko and Hinata. I've also marked you, Koyuki, Haku, and the other girls. Well, not Midori. I think the Kyuubi did something, and called all the girls that have ever had anything for me, whether mild or strong. Isuribi giggled, while Naruto gave her a confused look. She sighed, and then explained, is that such a bad thing? Look, you had a bunch of us after you in the past life, and now you have more. We all love you, and I'm sure Midori will come around when she gets older. So far no one has had a problem with you having multiple wives, except for the council, who we blocked while the third was around. I know you had a soft spot for him, and that brat Sasuke too, but one has passed, and the other you have stopped from killing you. Naruto looked into her eyes, and said, but haven't I killed him with us capturing him? Isuribi shook her head, and replied, no, he made his choices long ago, and you've done everything you could to try to save him, and he just doesn't want to be saved. He thinks that killing you is a way to get what he wants. You wanted to try to shoulder the burden of the world, and to do that you will need a lot of support. They say that wives help their husbands shoulder their burdens. I have a feeling that you will be called to the land of birds and vegetables soon. Do you think they will share our bed? Naruto chuckled and replied, Haruna more than likely will. Just ask Hinata how she reacted to me coming back here after protecting her and saving her country. Tsunade leaned up and kissed him. She then said, I can't give you any more tonight, but give me a week, and I could spend the whole night with you, and wouldn't care how many times you brought me to climax. Naruto then said, yeah, I'm kind of tired too, but doing it while you're transformed was just wow. Tsunade smiled and said, I know, and when we mark each other I don't ever want you to feel alone. There was a knock at the window, and it was opened. A young person wearing a bandana and a fur-lined vest entered the room. The person blushed and said, I said I wouldn't let you be alone with Naruto-kun, and I meant it. Naruto's eyes went wide, and he whispered, Amaru. Tsunade sat up and looked at this person and asked, who is the boy? Naruto chuckled and replied, that is Umaru-chan, container of the Ribai, the zero-tailed beast. She became a close friend before Pain attacked. Tsunade was shocked to see Umaru take off her vest and then shut her shirt. Umaru then asked, can I become one with you, Naruto-kun? Naruto looked at Tsunade who just shrugged and asked, how old do you think you are? Umaru smirked and replied, I'm a 17-year-old girl trapped in a 14-year-old body. She had at this point taken off her pants and panties. She then sat down beside Naruto and said, I think Kyuubi sent my memories back to me, so I had Shino come to Konoha under the pretext that I wanted to visit. I don't think he is ready to have a Sky Country attack just yet, and it is an honor to see Tsunade again. So who is the girl sharing your bed, and is she willing to share you? Naruto chuckled and replied, Tsunade, Amaru, Tsunade. She along with quite a few other women are my wives. Umaru raised an eyebrow, but then kissed Naruto and asked, is there room for one more? Tsunade nodded and replied, as long as you love Naruto-kun you are welcome to join the marriage. She then giggled and said, all you need to do is consummate the marriage and acquire his mate mark, and you are married to the most eligible married man in Konoha. Umaru looked down and blushed. She then said, we played around last time, but Hinata wouldn't let us go all the way. Will she stop us this time? No, I would be glad to have you as a sister in this marriage, Umaru-chan, Hinata said from the doorway, along with a tired-looking Yoshiko. Yoshiko smirked and said, and here I thought we would be able to get some Naruto time, but since we have a new initiative. It is good to see you again, Umaru-chan. I'm Yoshiko, but have the merged soul of Tsunade, and am biologically the daughter of Tsunade. Umaru looked surprised, and covered herself in embarrassment. I'm sorry Senju-sama, she said apologetically. Yoshiko walked over to Umaru and pulled her arms down and away from the girl. You have nothing to be ashamed of. We have all made love to Naruto-kun and taken his mark. If that is your desire, we could leave so that you can consummate it in peace. I know that I had Hinata with me when we fulfilled the contract with the Shinigami. I'm guessing that is when your memories came back to you. Umaru nodded and replied, it wasn't that long ago, and I remembered it all. What happened that caused us to go back? Yoshiko scowled, while Hinata and Haku entered the room and closed the door behind them. Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura killed Naruto, Shion, and their unborn baby, Yoshiko explained. Tsunade got up, put on a silk robe, and walked, more like limping to the bathroom. I'll just go clean up, she explained. Umaru looked worriedly into Naruto's eyes, and asked, you don't mind being with me, even if I'm still only in a girl's body? Naruto leaned forward, and kissed her passionately on the lips. Umaru melted into the kiss, and followed him back to the bed. Yoshiko touched Umaru's lower stomach, and smiled at the girl. She then said, you will not have to worry about getting pregnant now. He's yours to do as you like for the next little bit. Do you want company or do you want to be alone? Umaru looked up and blushed profusely. She then asked, can I have him alone? The girls looked at each other and then turned to Umaru. They all nodded together. Haku helped Tsunade out of the room with the others. Umaru giggled at his comment and then looked lovingly into his eyes and said, the reason I was so difficult was that I knew that I liked you, but couldn't admit it, and I knew deep down that we were alike on some level. It just turned out that we were both. Now what are we going to do about my sensei? I don't know, but I think we should bring the others in on it, so that we can plan out what to do. I know that soon I will be heading to bird, bear, and vegetable countries. I have to help them deal with problems there. You could stay here while I'm gone, he suggested. Umaru shook her head, and replied, no, we have other places to go, and he has some things to teach me over the next few years. I'm glad that we were able to be with each other, and I love you Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled and said, I love you too, Umaru. I love all my wives. Umaru giggled and said, yeah, over and over and over right. Naruto then wore a maniacal grin and asked, does my Umaru-chan want more? She blushed and nodded. The two made love a couple more times before they finally finished. Umaru snuggled up to Naruto but noticed his gaze and followed it. She saw the girl from before and saw her beautifully colored scaly skin. Naruto waved Tsunade over and the girl slid into the bed and snuggled up to the other side of Naruto. Tsunade smiled at Umaru and asked, he's just too lovable isn't he? Umaru blushed, smiled, and nodded into his chest. The girls pulled up the sheets and settled in for some sleep. Ishiko walked Shino into the Senju guest house, bowed, and said, "Shino-san, I have made accommodations for yourself here, and Amaru-san in the main house. I will work with her tomorrow on some interesting healing techniques while you talk with my mother. Have a good night." Shino bowed and smiled at the girl. "Thank you very much for your hospitality, Yoshiko-sama. We are indebted to you. I look forward to the progress that my apprentice makes under your tutelage." Yoshiko left the guest's house and went directly to her mother's room. Tsunade was looking over some paperwork, but put it down when she saw her daughter. She waved her in, and Yoshiko closed the door behind her. "Is Amaru-chan settled?" Tsunade asked. Yoshiko blushed and replied, "Oh, she is quite satisfied." Tsunade glared at her daughter for a second, and then said, "I can't believe that you were me 3 years in the future." Yoshiko giggled and said, "No, I'm both you from the future, but I am more myself than you, since you from the future merged and allowed me to be the dominant personality. Now down to business. You have 2 daughters of daimyos here, right?" Tsunade nodded and replied, "Yeah, Haruna from vegetables and Toki from bird. Are you expecting them to join your little harem?" Yoshiko replied, "Haruna, most definitely, but the jury is still out on Toki. What are we to do about the shinobi from the other villages?" Tsunade sighed, and then replied, "Well, the girl from Taki is A and wants asylum. I'm going to allow it, but she also wants to talk and do things with Naruto. I'm guessing that she wants to join your little harem. The 2 from Kumo are here for information, but the girl seems off for some reason. I think we should have Naruto meet with them, since they are. Tsukino is from Suki, and she seems to not want to take no for an answer about having Naruto as her husband. I'll leave her to you. The pair from Kiri are a strange pair, both are, but one is the Mizukage, your former Mizukage." Yoshiko shook her head, and then looked at her mother. "There's more, isn't there?" she asked hesitantly. Tsunade pinched her nose, and replied, "Yeah, a girl from the Star Village, Hakuto I think her name was, but she wants to also join your harem. She also admitted that she had her memories of me. That along with Tatsushiro Akari from the Ryu clan, and a woman from Sound asking for asylum, Guren was her name, if I recall. She also brought a boy with her, not sure she wants to join the harem, but it is a possibility in the way she kept licking her lips when she mentioned Naruto. Oh, and your father got a message from his former students who claim that they are part of Akatsuki. They want to meet and discuss them leaving Akatsuki. Even stranger was a message from Itachi that stated if we don't release his brother then he will have no choice." Yoshiko looked confused and asked, "No choice to what?" Tsunade shrugged and replied, "That's just it, the message stopped there. I guess we will have to deal with this in the morning. Try to make sure that your husband has some strength because I think he's in for a long day of consummation of marriages with more women. I'm glad Anko is busy. So are there any other women I should know about that my son-in-law is going to bed with?" Yoshiko took a thinking pose and began, "Let's see, Senju clan, me, Yuki clan, Haku, Hyuga clan, Hinata, Uzumaki Namikaze clans, Amaru, Isaribi, Anko, Guren, Hakuto, Midori, eventually, and maybe few from Waterfall, Ryu clan, Akari, Tsukino might be her own clan, the daughters of the daimyos, Daimyo, and priestesses Koyuki, Shion, Haruna, and Toki, and finally Sasum from the Fuma clan. I think that is it, but when Sasuke's defection and imprisonment become known, Naruto may become more a target for his fangirls, but I wouldn't be opposed to Yamanaka Ino, Tamari of the Sanser Tenten joining us. I am disappointed in Sakura though. She was my apprentice in the future, and she was looking like she was going to become even a better medic than I was, but she aided Sasuke in killing Naruto, Shion, and their unborn child." Tsunade sighed and said, "It saddened me that he had to see his wife and child die before his eyes. Now did you make sure that Koyuki wasn't pregnant?" Yoshiko nodded and replied, "Yes, I put the chakra into her and ran diagnostics on her while she was here and just before she left. We also kept her away from Naruto for 5 days before she left, so she got her jollies, and then we were with him all the time. He slept with us and not her until she left. Also I asked Naruto and Kyuubi, both said that he was a good boy." Tsunade sighed and said, "You know I don't really approve of girls that are 12 or 13 having sex, even if they are taking precautions." Yoshiko nodded and replied, "Yes, but we also know that the girls that are sleeping with him are mentally older and ready for the responsibilities. They also are getting stronger by getting and showing that they love Naruto. Are preparations ready for the Fuma clan arriving?" Tsunade nodded her head and replied, "Yeah, they are becoming part of the old Uchiha district. You know that with Naruto marrying all those girls and being the husband of so many clans he will garner political enemies. We already have Danzo to deal with, but I understand." "How's the Horuno clan handling Sakura's incarceration?" Yoshiko asked dryly. Tsunade laughed and replied, "They wanted her released, but when there was evidence that she would have left if Sasuke hadn't knocked her out, they asked for a lighter sentence and psychological help for the girl. I still haven't decided on what to do." Tsunade then began to shoo Yoshiko out of her room when Jiraiya entered, by saying, "My turn to have some fun, and we should be adding within the year." Yoshiko's eyes lit up, and she asked, "Really?" Tsunade nodded and replied, yeah, I checked, and Shizune double-checked. I'm only a few weeks along, but you will have a sibling in about 9 or so months. Now go, and let me play with the pervert for a while. Ishiko giggled and left the room. She smiled at the idea of having a sibling. She quietly entered Naruto's room and saw that both girls were asleep, but he was awake. Ishiko smirked, as did Naruto. A puff of smoke, and Naruto was standing beside her naked, but also he was in the bed with the two girls. Ishiko asked, didn't get enough. Naruto grabbed her and kissed her gently on the lips. She pulled the strings on her kimono and allowed it to fall to the ground, revealing her clad only in panties. Naruto broke the kiss and asked, how long have you been wanting it? She smirked and pulled him out of his room and into hers. She glanced out the window and Naruto followed her gaze, and he noticed two people in the tree watching. They spent the next hour making love in full view of Fu and Yujiro. Neither could break away and watch the blonde pair making love. Fu eventually touched the window and entered the room. She saw that they had noticed her, but they both wore warm smiles and didn't seem to hate her like most others. She knew that they would like her, but watching them and then smelling the lingering smells in the air caused her to take off her clothes and move in between the pair and curl up with them. Shizune entered Naruto's room to find Naruto curled up with Isaripi and Amara in the bed. She then moved down to Yoshiko's room and found Naruto with Yoshiko and the Taki girl in Yoshiko's bed. All three of them were curled up together. I hope they get it out of their systems, since he is going to be away for a few years training. I'm sure Jiraiya-sama will train them hard, she thought to herself while she quietly closed the door. She turned and was confronted by a naked young woman wearing a kumo headband. The woman blushed and said, can I go to Naruto-sama? Shizune giggled and then said, I would wait until after breakfast before you partake of Naruto-kun. You also have to clear it with both Tsunade-sama and Yoshiko-sama. The woman bowed and replied, I have already cleared it with Hokage-sama, but have yet to talk to Yoshiko-sama. Kurabi has told me that if I do this then I should be able to bring Konoha closer to Kumo and help avert the coming war. Well, Naruto-kun is finicky with his wives, but is also accepting, since he doesn't know you. I would go out on a date before you bed him, Shizune explained. Taki has already bedded him, and I see no reason not to do the same if it will help me along, Yujiro said in reply. Yujiro-san, well, I find you a gorgeous woman. I would like to get to know you better, and I may have slept with Fu, but I didn't have sex with her. She has an aversion to most people, and felt comfortable with Ishiko-chan, and I'm not opposed to having you as a wife. I need to know a little about you, since we only met when you were called to the battlefield by Madara. I know and trust, you I don't know. Fu is still sorting out her memories, and is confused. She was used to finding someone to be with. Right now she wants companionship, and we will give that to her. You are already a known force, and have your own agenda. I want to understand that agenda so that we can either be allies or lovers, but that is up to you, Naruto explained in the doorway with only a bathrobe on, and Yoshiko standing behind him. The end. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.